breaking boundaries. Coco Gauff's powerful message of courage and change. At Emirates' event, the ballroom glimmered under golden chandeliers. The hum of polite conversation filling the air as world-class athletes, sponsors, and dignitaries gathered for one of the most prestigious sports galas of the year, the Emirates Global Sports Excellence Awards. Cameras flashed, laughter rippled, and the atmosphere sparkled with anticipation. But as the night unfolded, something extraordinary would happen, something that transcended the usual glitter and applause. That night, Coco Gauff, the young American tennis superstar, Grand Slam champion, and voice of new generation, would deliver a message that shook the sports world to its core. It wasn't rehearsed for fame or designed for headlines. It came straight from the heart, a raw, powerful call for courage, respect, and lasting change. By the end of her speech, there would be no doubt left. Coco Gauff had broken boundaries once. Again, the arrival. Coco Gauff stepped onto the crimson carpet with quiet grace, dressed in a sleek emerald gown that shimmered like confidence itself. She smiled warmly at the flashing cameras, but behind that smile was a sense of purpose deeper than the glitz. Surrounding her, she had flown in stray from her last tournament, a grueling 2 weeks that tested her endurance and resolve. Yet, despite the exhaustion, she was here representing not only herself, but a new generation of athletes who believe that sports could be more than competition. It could be a platform for truth. Journalists rushed forward. "Coco, what does the night mean to you?" one asked. She paused and replied softly, "It's about celebrating excellence, but also about redefining it." The atmosphere of grandeur inside the ballroom, every table glowed with candlelight and the air shimmered with soft music. Screens displayed images of triumph, sprinters breaking records, gymnasts defying gravity, and tennis players lifting trophies. It was a celebration of physical greatness. Yet, Coco couldn't help but feel that something deeper was missing. The conversation about what it truly means to be strong. As she found her seat near the front, her eyes drifted toward the stage where the podium stood ready. Her name was listed on the program. Keynote speaker Coco Gauff. She had given speeches before about hard work, about believing in dreams, but tonight would be different. Tonight, she intended to speak about humanity, the weight of words. In the weeks leading up to the event, Coco had wrestled with her thoughts. She'd seen how the sports world, though filled with glory, often had unspoken pain, stories of disrespect, discrimination, and inequality that lingered in locker rooms and boardrooms alike. As a young woman who had grown up in the public eye, she had faced scrutiny and pressure that often went beyond the court. She had been praised for her composure, but criticized for her confidence. She had learned that silence, too, was a form of choice. So when Emirates invited her to speak about empowering future athletes, she decided not to deliver a polished, predictable speech. She would speak truth to power the moment arrives. The evening progressed with elegance, awards presented, applause ringing and laughter echoing. But as the host announced her name, the energy shifted. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of Tennessee's brightest stars, a symbol of passion and perseverance, Miss Coco Gauff." A wave of applause followed as Coco rose. Her heels clicked softly against the polished floor, her gown flowing like quiet determination. She reached the stage, adjusted the microphone, and looked out at the hundreds of faces before her, executives, athletes, media figures, and fans. For a moment, silence enveloped the room. Then she began the speech that, "Stop time. Thank you," she began, her voice clear yet warm. "I've been fortunate to live a dream, to play the sport I love, to travel the world. But tonight, I want to talk about something. Beyond trophies and rankings." The crowd leaned in. We celebrate excellence, but too often we ignore the human cost of chasing it, the long hours, the pressure, the judgment, the silence when something isn't right. A murmur passed through the room. She continued, "I've met athletes who smile on camera but cry behind closed doors. I've met young girls who stopped chasing their dreams because someone told them they weren't good enough, or worse made them feel unsafe or unheard." Her words struck deep. You could sense the air change. Being strong doesn't mean being silent. Courage doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. True strength is in speaking up, in standing up, not just for yourself, but for those who can't. Applause rippled softly but sincerely. Tonight, I want to challenge all of us, coaches, organizations, sponsors, to create spaces where athletes feel protected, respected, and valued, not just what they achieve, but for who they are. Her tone grew passionate yet graceful, because no medal, no trophy, no endorsement deal is worth more than a person's dignity. By now, the room was utterly silent. We must build a sports world where fairness is not a slogan, but a promise, where young athletes, especially women, can dream without fear. That's what I stand for. That's what I hope we all stand for. When she finished, she stepped back from the podium. For a heartbeat, the room was frozen, then erupted into a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. The aftershock. Coco walked off stage with her heart pounding. It wasn't nerves. It was relief. Relief that she had spoken what so many others had felt but hadn't voiced. Backstage, reporters flooded her with questions. "Coco, what inspired you to say that?" The new definition of greatness. In the months that followed, Coco continued to dominate the tennis circuit, her forehands fierce, her serves untouchable. But every time she stepped onto court, something had changed. The cheers were louder, yes, but the respect ran deeper, because she wasn't just an athlete anymore. She was a symbol of what it means to lead with heart. At press conferences, journalists often asked her about her Emirates speech. She would always smile and say, "It wasn't just a speech. It was a reminder to myself and everyone that we can all do better." Legacy in motion. Years from now, when sports historians look back at the defining moments of the 2020s, they will not only remember Coco Gauff's incredible titles or athletic brilliance, they will remember her voice, the night she stood under golden lights in Dubai and reminded the world that courage is the true mark of a champion, that it's not enough to break records. You must also break silence. That greatness isn't only measured in wins. It's measured in the change you create. Beyond the court, the Emirates event would go down in history as a night when glamour met gravity, when one young woman's voice transformed celebration into reflection. As Coco Gauff boarded her flight the next day, she looked out the window at the horizon, stretching endlessly ahead. She thought about the past she had faced, the present she was shaping, and the future she was fighting for. She smiled and whispered softly, "This is only the beginning." Because for Coco Gauff, the journey wasn't just about becoming a champion. It was about becoming a catalyst for change. And in doing so, she had indeed broken boundaries, beautifully, boldly, and forever. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next